Hello students, welcome back. Welcome back to the Facts in Biology, a YouTube channel that is devoted to help the student that are preparing for their medical examination, national level entrance examination for medical admissions. Friends, through this channel, continuously I am attempting to provide you with the in-depth information about the syllabus of CBSE and NEET. I hope definitely it will help you to prepare for your future. Myself, Anand Joshi, I am teacher of biology. If you find this channel helpful for your preparation, please subscribe, like and share my channel to your friends also. Thank you. So today we are going to discuss the sexual reproduction in angiosperm. Now sexual reproduction in angiosperm, as we know, it is practiced with the help of highly modified and condensed reproductive shoot that is in the form of flower. And a flower actually consists of 4 whorls which are divided into 2 subtypes, the essential whorls and the non-essential whorls. Non-essential whorls, they are helpful for attracting the pollinating agents, and essential whorls, they include the androecium and gynoecium. Androecium, as we know, it represents the male of the whorl and gynoecium is representing the female whorl. Now both these male and female reproductive whorls, their development we are going to see in separate videos. Now as far as the reproductive process is concerned, in angiosperm it is completed in 3 phases. The first phase, it is representing the pre-fertilization phase, the second one is fertilization phase, and the third one, it is said to be the after fertilization or post-fertilization phase. Now as far as pre-fertilization event in androecium is concerned, we will see the male reproductive whorl, and we know androecium, it is representing the male reproductive whorl of phanerogams of angiosperms. The individual members of these androecium, they are called as stamens, and actually they are representing the modified sporophylls. Each individual stamen, if you see, it consists of 3 components, the elongated stalk-like structure that is called as filament, then it is connected to anther with the help of a small parenchymatous connective, and the third one, the anther. Anther is actually the spore producing organ in case of angiosperm. Now if we see a single anther, in early stages, the development of anther, it is simply represented by a parenchyma tissue, parenchyma cells that are surrounded by a very thin layer of epidermis. Mostly, if we see the anthers in angiosperm, they are represented by 2 lobes. Here you can see there are 2 lobes, and such anthers, they are called as dithecous. Theca means lobes. 2 lobes are there, so they are called as dithecous. But within these, histologically, 4 pollen sacs are present, 4 sporangia are present, and that's why they are called as tetrasporangiate. Here you can see in the transverse section, 4 pollen sacs can be seen. Now some of the inner hypodermal cells of these tissues, they are getting differentiated to form highly specialized cells that are called as archesporial cells. Now here you can see the epidermal layer, and these epidermal layer, they are containing the specialized cells that are called as archesporial cells. Now some of these archesporial cells, they undergo mitotic divisions to form sporogenous cells, or they are said to be the parietal cells. Now these sporogenous cells and parietal cells, these are the primary requisite for the development of microspore pollen grains. Now these sporogenous cells, they undergo rapid proliferation to form a small group of tissue that is called as sporogenous tissue. Now these sporogenous tissue, in near future, they are going to produce the pollen grains. However, the parietal cells, they also undergo proliferation to form the anther wall. Now if we see the wall of mature anther, it consists of 4 layers, as you can see in the diagram. Here you can see the first layer is there, it is called as epidermis. Now this epidermis is followed by a second layer that is called as endothecium. Now within the endothecium, you can have, there are certain few layers of parenchyma. Now these parenchyma layers, they are going to perform very important role in the future. And the innermost layer, it is called as tapetum. Now this tapetum, in future it will produce the microspore mother cells. So 4 layers of anther you can see histologically, the endodermis, the epidermis, then followed by endothecium, then followed by parenchymatous middle layer and tapetum. If we see the epidermis, this epidermis, it is definitely the outermost layer, it is a protective layer and it is made up of flattened tubular cells. So this is the epidermis. Then the endothecium, it is a subepidermal layer, and this subepidermal layer, it is made up of radially elongated cells which are showing fibrous thickening. Here you can have the endothecium. Just inside the endothecium, you can have few layers of, we can say, parenchymatous middle layers. And these parenchymatous middle layer, they encloses the last layer, innermost layer, that is the tapetum. Tapetum is the innermost nutritive layer of anther wall, and within tapetum, tapetus, you can have sporogenous tissue that is enclosed. As far as the microsporogenesis is concerned, some of the cells of sporogenous tissue, they get differentiated to form diploid microspore mother cell. Here you can see this sporogenous tissue, and these undergo mitotic division to form diploid microspore mother cells, and each diploid microspore mother cell, it undergo meiosis to form 4 haploid microspores or pollen grains. We know the process of meiosis is completed in 2 stages, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. When the first division is considered, it is definitely the reduction division. The second one is mitotic division. By both these division, from a single diploid microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell, 4 pollen grains or microspores are produced. Now these 4 microspore or pollen grain, initially all of them are attached to one another. Here you can see the pollen grains or microspores are attached to one another, and they are surrounded by a thin film of mucilage. And here in this condition, they are referred as pollen tetrads. Tetra, that is 4. So they are called as pollen tetrad. 4 pollen grains attached to one another, surrounded by a mucilage layer, they are called as pollen tetrad. At maturity, when the microspore becomes mature, they become separate. The mucilage layers dries up and the pollen grains are set free to get pollinated. If we see a single pollen grain or single microspore, here you can see a single pollen grain is shown in the photograph. Pollen grain or microspore is haploid, non-motile, uninucleate, unicellular, male reproductive structure. Mind it well, in angiosperm, pollen grain is haploid, non-motile, uninucleate and unicellular structure. It is double-walled. It is surrounded by 2 walls, and these 2 walls are called as sporoderm. Spore means the gamete and the derm means skin. So they are having 2 skins, double layer, and that's why these 2 layers are called as sporoderm. Now if we see the outermost layer, here you can see this outer sporoderm is called as exine, and it is made up of tough, non-biodegradable, complex substance, highly specialized material called as sporopollenin. Now this sporopollenin is non-biodegradable, means it does not allow decaying of the pollen grain for longer duration. Here I want to say that we can have the fossilized pollen grains also, means this sporopollenin can withstand withering for many years, or even we can say very long duration. So outermost layer, exine, it is made up of sporopollenin. Now exine, it may be plain as it is seen in the monocot plant, or it may be spiny, or even many a time it is found sculptured. So smooth pollen grain or smooth exine, generally it is found in the monocotyledony plant, and spiny, it is in the dicotyledony plant, or dicotyledony plants, they may show sculptured pollen grains with exine. At certain spaces, the pollen grains or exine, it is thin and it is in close contact with the inner membrane, that is said to be the intine. And these close contact points, these are called as, here you can see these close contact point, these are called as germ pores. If we see the germ pores, they provide the site for emergence of pollen tube after pollination. Once the pollen grains are shifted to the stigma of gynoecium, they have to undergo germination, and by germination they will produce the pollen tube siphon, and this pollen tube, it oozes out, it comes out from the pollen grain through the germ pore only. The inner layer, here you can see this inner layer, it is intine, it is smooth, It is cushion-like and it is only made up of cellulose and pectin. For neat purpose, you should remember exine is made up of non-biodegradable protein called as sporopollenin. However, the inner cushion layer, that is intine, it is made up of only cellulose and pectin. Within the intine, you can have small amount of cytoplasm, very little amount of cytoplasm, and a single haploid nucleus that is representing the male pronucleus. Now, as far as the viability of pollen grain is concerned, or it is the ability of pollen grain to undergo germination, it varies in different species. In wheat and rice, you can have pollen grain that remain viable for only 30 minutes. Whereas, in the plants belonging to family Solanaceae, Rosaceae or Leguminosae, it remain viable for month. Mind it well, viability of pollen grain is different from the survival of the pollen grain. Due to sporopollenin, it may remain as it is for years, but that does not mean it remain viable. Viability may be lost during the storage. And as far as the pollen grains are concerned, they are studied in detail. And the branch of biology which deals with the study of pollen grains, their structure, their functioning, it is called as palynology. So remember palynology as the study of pollen grains. Friends, as far as the development of male gametophyte from the pollen grain is concerned, if we see, the pollen grains are the prerequisite of male gametophyte. From the pollen grain only, the male gametophyte will get developed. Development of male gametophyte occur within the pollen grain. Development of male gametophyte occur within the pollen grain. That's why it is called as endosporic. And it is completed partially before pollination and partially after pollination. So part of development occurs in the androecium, anther, and part is developing after pollination, that is on the stigma of gynoecium. Now, as far as before pollination process is concerned, unicellular, uninucleate, haploid pollen grain, it undergo mitotic divisions. But this mitotic division is unequal. It will result into formation of two unequal cells. Here you can see a smaller cell is there. Now this smaller cell is called as a generative cell. And a larger cell is there. Now this larger cell is called as vegetative cell. So mind it well, when unicellular, uninucleate pollen grain within the androecium, within the stamen, within the anther undergo unequal mitotic division, result into formation of two unequal cells. The smaller cell is called as generative cell and the larger cell is called as vegetative cell. The larger vegetative cell, obviously it is rich in reserve food material, nucleus is larger and it is irregularly shaped with liquefied cytoplasm. A fluid cytoplasm is there. So the characteristic feature of the vegetative cell, it will contain the reserve food material and the nucleus is larger and cytoplasm is fluid, ready to flow. However, generative cell, a smaller cell, it lacks reserve food material, it is having single rounded nucleus and the cytoplasm is dense, it is viscous and it floats within the cytoplasm of vegetative cell. So here you can say the vegetative cell provide the pool or it is providing the medium for floating of the generative cell. If we see, once this process is completed, soon after or just before pollination, generative cell undergoes second mitotic division and that forms the two haploid, unicellular, uninucleate, non-motile male gametes. Here you can see the division of the generative cell. It will give rise to the two haploid, unicellular, uninucleated non-motile male gametes. In most of the angiosperm, pollination occurs in this two-celled condition or three-celled condition. Either the male gametophyte at the time of pollination, it will contain two cells, that is generative cell and the vegetative cell, or generative cell might have undergone division to form two male gametes. So at the time of pollination, a male gamete may be two-celled or it may be three-celled containing generative cell and the two male gametes, non-motile male gametes. Thus, the mature male gamete in angiosperm is highly reduced, dependent and represented by only three cells. That is, two male gametes and a single vegetative cell. So, it is highly reduced and it is dependent in the life cycle. Friend, this is the story of development of male gametophyte in angiosperm. If you find this video helpful for your preparation, You can subscribe, like and share my channel to your friends. Thank you very much. Thank you.